Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Cimnanya, and thank you all so much for all the love and support. Hope you all are doing great. I came across this video and I thought I'd bring it here because some people, I don't know how people bring in other people into our own community to speak for us. And then let me make this clear. I cannot go out and speak for Asian community. I cannot speak for Hispanics. I cannot also speak for white because I do not live their experience and I don't know what is going on in their own community. So I am not qualified to speak about what is going on in their community. I can only talk if it is related or by people are being called in while saying that. But I do not have any right because I don't know what their struggles are. So this woman is married to a and the man, I think the wife is from Kenya. Probably she lives in US, and so for that reason, he thinks he is a black person, and for that reason, he can talk about Pan Africanism, right? And the wife being, I don't know, also supported the man. It's really crazy how I see things like this, and then they turn around to call me or call someone that look like me a racist because you are telling them that this is not their discussion and they should not discuss it. And now they are asking, why is it that they don't have all white universities? You all really amaze me so damn bad. Let's get into this video.
Being African American before you will.
Hey, African here, in Africa.
Oh, snap. She has almost 30,000 likes on her video, and she's an African. I might want to sit down for this. I may have met my match. I'm not gonna lie, I am expecting something that sounds really intelligent.
I mean, I don't expect much akwanushi from you because you are white.
A little underwhelming, not gonna lie.
Your wife, the ancestors are literally rolling in their graves. She should be embarrassed.
You know, I did meet them. We did get married together in Kenya, and they weren't embarrassed. Actually, I think they liked me. Now, I don't want to sound mean or anything, but you kind of sound like a Pan-African. Yeah, you weren't really hiding it. You just kind of kept it out in the open for everyone to see. For those of you who don't know what a Pan-African is, let me blend you over to the African-American in the room and she'll tell you.
Hold on. I have to do a little bit more African to sell this, just in case. What is a Pan-African? A Pan-African is an African who is racist. That's the short and long of it. A Pan-African is just like a black supremacist. They are very empowered by their Africanness. Therefore, they will gatekeep culture because how dare you, a vanilla person, sharing African culture, and so on and so forth.
All right, back to the colonizer. You know what? I'm just being rude. Let's hear those words of wisdom.
You would never be African. You are European.
Let me get this straight. So now we're just going to cherry pick the history of my ancestors, and we're going to determine what I am based on the middle points? Because if I've never been to Europe, but somehow I'm European because that's where my ancestors came from, then why stop there? Why not go all the way back? Let me introduce you to a thing called the cradle of life. You guessed it, I give you Africa. You can see right on the bottom there, the whole of Africa was the cradle of humankind. So it looks like I'm African after all. I mean, if you're willing to call me European and I don't even need a citizenship, then why not just call me African? You know what? I'll make a deal with you. Since my ancestors originated from Africa and I am now American, you can either call me African American now, or you can wait until I get my dual citizenship and call me African American then. My sister. Stay blessed or oppressed. The choice is yours. I don't want to sound mean or anything, but you kind of sound like a Pan-African. Yeah, you weren't really hiding it. You just kind of kept it out in the open for everyone to see. For those of you who don't know what a Pan-African is, let me blend you over to the African-American in the room and she'll tell you.
Hold on. I have to do a little bit more African to sell this, just in case. What is a Pan-African? A Pan-African is an African who is racist. A Pan-African is just like a black supremacist. They are very empowered by their Africanness.
This guy is tokenizing his unfortunately misinformed wife to spread misinformation about Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism is a global political and cultural movement that aims to unite people of African descent worldwide. It emphasizes the shared identity, struggles, and aspirations of Africans and the African diaspora, advocating for solidarity, self-reliance, and the political and economic empowerment of African nations. The movement historically played a crucial role in the decolonization of Africa and continues to influence contemporary discussions on racial equality and international relations. You can verify this information with reputable scholarly sources such as the Journal of American History, the Journal of International Affairs, and more. Google Scholar is literally free. Moreover, African Americans are descendants of chattel slavery specifically. I understand your wife is African, but again, just because someone is Black does not mean they speak for all Black people or are knowledgeable about complex social issues. Stop tokenizing your wife. And everyone watching this, please choose your partners wisely, because if you don't, they will use you against the culture and against us.
Let's start with slavery. Now, I don't care what anyone says, slavery was systemic racism. Period. End of story. There is no way to argue against that. You had an entire economic system built on the backs of Black people who were treated as property, not humans. It was written into laws. It was part of the Constitution. It was everywhere. That is the very definition of systemic. And then, after slavery was abolished, what happened? Jim Crow laws. Again, this was systemic racism. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. These laws were designed specifically to keep Black people as second-class citizens. Separate but equal? Come on, we all know that was a load of bull. It was racism, plain and simple, built right into the system. Now, here's a question for you. When do you think systemic racism ended? Some of you might be thinking, well, it ended when the Civil Rights Act of 1964, right? But let me ask you this. Do you really think centuries of oppression and discrimination just disappeared overnight with the stroke of a pen? That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Systemic racism is like a weed with deep roots. You can't just chop off the top and expect it to be gone. It is ingrained in our institutions, our policies, our unconscious biases. It takes time and effort to dig out those roots. Now let's talk about critical race theory. I know some of you might be rolling your eyes, but hear me out. CRT is not just some random idea someone came up with over a cup of coffee. It's based on sociology, which is a science. And in science, you don't get to call something a theory unless you've got mountains of evidence to back it up. We're talking thousands of facts, years of research, and rigorous peer review. It's not just some half-baked notion. And here's something else to chew on. Do you know how many civil rights laws we've passed since the first Civil Rights Act? Since 1964, we have passed at least 8 major pieces of civil rights legislation that deal with race, including the Voting Rights Act of 1965, the Fair Housing Act of 1968, the Civil Rights Act of 1991, and most recently, the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act of 2022. But why do you think we needed all of these laws? Because the first one did not magically fix everything. The point is, systemic racism did not end in 1964. It did not end in 1968 or 1991 or 2022. And if we're being honest with ourselves, it has not ended yet. We're still working on it. We're still passing laws, still fighting court battles, and still trying to level the playing field. So the next time someone tries to tell you that systemic racism is not real or that it ended decades ago, remember this. Change does not happen overnight. It is a long, hard process. But if we acknowledge the problem, if we keep working at it, we can make things better. It's on all of us to keep pushing for that change, to keep learning, to keep growing, because that is the only way we're ever going to create a truly equal society. You ask why there aren't any white-only colleges? Well, let's take a stroll through history. Back in the day, there were these things called segregation and Jim Crow laws. They were all about keeping things separate, but not exactly equal. White folks had their own schools, water fountains, and even neighborhoods. It was a real party for them. But then some determined folks decided that this whole separate but equal thing was a load of nonsense. Enter the civil rights movement. People fought, marched, and even got arrested and died to make sure everyone, regardless of skin color, had the same opportunities. Crazy, right? So fast forward to today. We don't have white-only colleges because, surprise, we figured out that excluding people based on race is, wrong. Colleges are supposed to be places of learning and growth, not exclusive clubs for one race. Plus, diversity is kind of the secret sauce that makes education richer and more interesting. Imagine a college where everyone looks the same, thinks the same, and has the same experiences. How boring. Now let's talk about HBCUs, or historically black colleges and universities. These schools were established before 1964 to provide educational opportunities for black students when they were largely excluded from higher education due to segregation and systemic racism. The first HBCU, Cheyney University of Pennsylvania, was founded in 1837. These institutions were created to give black Americans a shot at higher education when they were denied entry elsewhere. Today, there are about 100 HBCUs across the United States, mostly in the South. They continue to be vital institutions for higher learning, offering a supportive and nurturing environment for students of all races, though they remain committed to their mission of uplifting the black community. HBCUs have produced many notable alumni, including Vice President Kamala Harris, Oprah Winfrey, and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. These schools are celebrated for their rich history, cultural significance, and ongoing contributions to society. So, while we don't have white-only colleges, and for good reasons, HBCUs exist to correct historical injustices and provide opportunities that were once denied. They are a testament to resilience and the power of education to transform lives. When I was younger, I used to drop the N-word like it was nothing, thinking it was just dark humor and that I couldn't be racist because I considered myself an ally. Now look, I know how that sounds messed up, but hear me out. Growing up, I was taught that being racist meant actively hating people of other races or believing in segregation and inequality. As long as I supported equal rights and went to a Black Lives Matter rally or two, I thought I was in the clear. But that's just the thing. I had this narrow, surface-level understanding of what racism actually is. I didn't understand that it runs way deeper than just not wanting people to have equal rights. It's the subtle biases, the microaggressions, the normalization of offensive language and stereotypes that really perpetuate racism in our society. I'd go online and sling the N-word around like it was no big deal, justifying it as just jokes or dark humor, but who was I to decide what's offensive to an entire community of people? Just because I didn't consciously hate anyone didn't give me a free pass to be insensitive and ignorant. We're so conditioned in America to be colorblind and to see race as this taboo topic that can't be discussed, but ignoring race and pretending we're all the same doesn't make racism go away. It just allows those subtle biases to fester under the surface. True equality means acknowledging our differences and having open, honest conversations about the experiences of marginalized groups. I used to think that as long as I believed in the American dream and equal opportunity for all, I couldn't possibly be a part of the problem. But that individualistic mindset is exactly what allows systemic racism to persist. We can't just focus on our own personal beliefs. We have to look at how entire communities are impacted by the systems and power structures in our society. It took me a long time to realize that being anti-racist isn't just a passive state of not being racist. It's an active process of unlearning biases, calling out injustices, and using my privilege to amplify the marginalized voices that aren't being heard. I'm still on that journey and I know I'll never be perfect, but at least I can now look at myself in the mirror and admit that I was a part of the problem before I could be a part of the solution. Vote Chase Lincoln Looper for West Virginia Governor, November 5th, 2024.
So this is all I got from this video. And let me start from the beginning. It's really crazy how people think because they are married to a black woman. I think the wife is Kenyan, right? So from being Kenyan, he also called the wife African American. But she's not African American. She's Kenyan. he also said she's Kenyan, right? So it's, I don't know, but man, the whole thing is just weird how people think because he got married to her for that reason, you know, um, he is also a black man and he had something to talk about Pan-Africanism and what it's going on in black community and the rest. And he was just saying that with confidence. And looking at the wife, it's really amazing how people marry people that can manipulate them because you all can see it. She is not, how do I say that? I'm not trying to probably crucify her or something, but she is not really smart enough because if she understand, I know you can love your husband, you can love your spouse, but there are some things you do not let them speak. And after speaking, she also came to add her own part and all that, saying that being Pan-African is also being racist and all. I mean, that already is crazy, but it is what it is. So I am going to say mind who you marry because, I mean, they can actually confuse you if you are not intelligent enough. And you all can say that she is not intelligent enough because if she's intelligent enough, she is going to know that that is not his side to talk about. That is not his space to speak on anything that got to do with Pan-African because he is not African, right? He is European. And he said that the existence of humankind started from Africa. Okay, now let's call this man. You love Africa that much. You want to be African, and can you let go of that your whiteness and everything? Let's see if he's going to say yes. Of course, he will say no. Who will think they don't love their privilege? I mean, they can only speak about what is going on in Africa or what is going on around us from a side, but you won't see them come in and fully stand on it. It is what it is. I am not making it up, but that is just how it is. It's either we accept it or not. You all should mind the people that you're bringing into your space to speak about your own space, because there are some people that can speak, there are some people that cannot speak. You all should get that ready. And yeah, you all saw the second video. The one was asking why is it that we do not have white colleges. It looks like some people did not did not even attend history classes, history class, they failed themselves. Because if you remember what during segregation, what happened and how black people and other people could not be in the same space and the rest of it. You all do not make your research, but you come online and you want to gaslight yourself because we have HBCUs and all that. For that reason, you want to ask, why do you all can create more too if you think the one you have already is not enough? Because we were not supposed to be part of your schools and all that. So we're chest away. Because how dare you all come and learn? How dare you all be in the same space with us? Is that one even a question to ask? Go and read your book. See you all in my next video. Bye for now.